Your Eminence, this is Stefanos in New Jersey, Atlantic City, September the 30th, 2014. I wanted to pick up my story of Alexander's tomb where I left off, with Caligula, the Roman emperor, who died in 41 Meta-Christo. We do not hear of the tomb again for 160 years, until the reign of Septimius Severus, the 20th Roman emperor. Septimius ruled the empire from 193 until 211. 18 years he was on the throne at Rome. He was the first emperor born from Africa and not from Europe. He was raised in his hometown of Leptis Magna. By a quirk of history, it's one of the few ancient towns in the Mediterranean that survived. It was abandoned in about the year 700 during the reign of Byzantium, and the ruins are perfectly preserved on the coast of Libya. It is a World Heritage UNESCO site. Many buildings and monuments from the ancient world are preserved there. It is 80 miles east. I guess that's about 100 kilometers east of Tripoli, on the Mediterranean coast of Libya. Septimius tells us in the 6th year of his reign, in 199, approximately the year 200 Meta-Christo, he was in Alexandria. He found the tomb in terrible condition, and he tried to improve it. Over the 500 years since Alexander's death, the tomb had been abused by the public, taking souvenirs and writing graffiti all over it. So he sealed it off to prevent public access. That's all we have, with a small story about his son who succeeded him, Caracalla, taking some of the artifacts from the tomb and putting them elsewhere in the empire. Now, Septimius traveled from Alexandria to Jerusalem, and then to Byzantion. Byzantion was not yet Constantinople. That was still 100 years in the future. When he approached Byzantion through the province of Bithynia, he observed and visited another tomb of an ancient man, Hannibal. Hannibal Barca of Carthage, the famous general who fought against Rome in the Punic Wars, was buried there. He had committed suicide when the Romans finally caught up with him in 183 pro-Christo. Septimius is said to have improved that tomb with the stone of marble Now, there was one other famous tomb at that time. It's famous now, but not so much then. But during his visit at Jerusalem, of course, was the tomb of Jesus Christ. But it was not legal to build a temple or a church for the Christ in the year 200. "65 years earlier, a previous emperor, Hadrian, had found the tomb, and with the contention of the Christian church, decided to teach them a lesson. And he built a pagan temple right on top of Golgotha and the sepulchre. It was a temple to Jupiter Capitolinus, and a statue of Venus was placed on the rock of Golgotha. So that would be another tomb that Septimius had visited, only it wasn't celebrated yet. In fact, it was scorned by the government, who were in contention with the Christians, until the religion was legal 100 years later under Constantine. With his mother Helen, went to Jerusalem, tore down the pagan temple of Jupiter Capitolinus, and built the first elements of the Holy Sepulchre Cathedral. One other thing before I close, Alexander's campaigns took him far to the east, over the mountains into Pakistan. And his last battle at the river Hydaspes. And then the Greeks returned to Babylon. During that campaign, several towns, not just the one in Egypt, were established as military colonies and population centers, and all of them were named after Alexander. But all of them have disappeared, except for the one in Egypt that everyone knows of. There is still one that was not found, that was discovered by myself. And it's on a river about 100 miles southwest of Kabul in Afghanistan. Kabul is the capital and largest city of Afghanistan. But the second largest city in that country is Kandahar, with 500,000 people today. And unbeknownst to history, Kandahar is a corruption of the name Alexander. So that city still bears his name. Kandahar in Afghanistan was named after Alexander. A common example of corruption of classical times is a city in Spain called Zaragoza, you may have heard of. When it was founded in Roman times as a colony, it was given the name Caesar Augustus for the two founding emperors. And over the centuries, its corruption in the language and popular use went from Caesar Augustus to Zaragoza. So likewise, Alexander became Kandahar in Afghanistan. That should be enough for today. Thank you for your time, Your Eminence.